As the party enters a shadowed, decrepit ruin, the air grows unnaturally cold, their breath visible in the dim moonlight, and the stone walls, once tall and proud, now stand crumbled and broken. A thick, oppressive silence hangs in the air, broken only by the occasional rustle of dead leaves underfoot. Suddenly, the ground beneath their feet trembles slightly, and a terrible sense of dread washes over them. From the blackness of the woods around the ruin, a figure emerges. A towering, gaunt creature, its body twisted and elongated unnaturally. With rotting skin stretched tightly over the bones, its glowing, malevolent eyes lock onto the adventurers with an intensity that pierces their very souls. Its grotesque skeletal hands are each tipped with razor-sharp claws, unnervingly long, scraping against the ground as it moves. This creature is a servant of pure malice and undeath, drawn to the party like a predator to prey. It does not speak, but its presence conveys a palpable hunger for suffering and a yearning to rend flesh and soul alike. As it steps forward, the ground itself seems to recoil in its presence, and a foul stench of decay fills the air. With an unnatural, jerky movement, the undead creature raises its claws, ready to strike with terrifying speed. The party stands frozen, with the realization sinking in that this creature is far more than a mere undead. It is the embodiment of dark magic born from the corruption of a once living soul into something far more sinister. Yes, my friends, in today's video we are talking about the twisted creatures feared by many, the Boneclaws. Hello and welcome to Dungeon Deep Dive, where we talk about all things D&D monsters, from monsters and their lore to their publication history, where they originated, and how you could use them in your D&D games. Before we get into the details of this lovably grotesque creature, I just want to apologize for the lack of videos as of late. It's been a very busy few weeks for me, but now we're getting back into the groove with the mostly weekly videos. A Boneclaw is not your typical undead. This terrifying creature is a twisted form of a lich, an immortal being who failed to complete the ritual to achieve true lichdom. When a powerful spellcaster's soul, corrupted with malice, seeks immortality, but instead finds itself bound to a creature of pure evil, a Boneclaw is born. These undead monsters live only to serve the desires of the cruelest beings they can find. Their masters don't even need to be aware of them. The Boneclaw simply latches onto a dark soul, an unwilling patron of their wicked existence. Boneclaws serve their masters for the entirety of their unfortunate existence. But if by some miracle the master of a Boneclaw decides to turn their back on the path of evil and become a being of good, the Boneclaw would instantly deteriorate into nothing. With twisted, gaunt bodies, they stand over 9 feet tall, their limbs unnaturally long and bony, ending in wickedly sharp claws that extend to impale their prey. Perhaps most terrifying of all is their ability to meld with the shadows, appearing suddenly and striking without warning. These undead find absolute joy in attacking and inflicting pain on anyone that comes into contact with them. Boneclaws are not front-facing fighters. They prefer to lurk in the shadows and hunt their prey, waiting for opportune times to strike. With their 15 to 20 foot reach with their claws, they can easily strike their targets from the shadows, then skulk back into the darkness. There are a couple of theories on where the Boneclaw actually came from. One theory is when an inexperienced practitioner in the arcane attempts to attain lichdom and attach their soul to a phylactery, but fails in the ritual. When this happens, the soul of the individual is launched across the realm, searching for a new master of immense evil for their now corrupted soul to serve. Once the soul is bound to the creature of evil, the Boneclaw will then form close by. And the second theory is that the first Boneclaw was created by a dark and powerful ritual that binds the soul of an evil creature to a mass of bones and flesh that then takes the form of a Boneclaw. The Boneclaw first clawed its way into Dungeons & Dragons in 2004, making its debut in the Monster Manual 3 of the 3rd edition of D&D. Boneclaws are known as bloodthirsty undead that enjoy using their extendable claws to bring death to the living. Quoted from the book, this large skeletal humanoid's claw-like fingers are at least 2 feet long. Worse, the slender knife-sharp claws contract and extend in length from moment to moment, sometimes instantly reaching a length of 10 or more feet before slowly contracting. Just think of an undead Wolverine. This is essentially what you're getting with this guy. In 3rd edition, the book states that the lore of these undead does not reveal where they originated. It states that the Boneclaw could have been created by some sick and twisted necromancer in a lab, or the crossing over evil planes with the prime plane, or maybe just the evolution of a dark evil creature. These undead creatures have a pretty high intelligence considering that they're an undead, and have exceptional control over their elongated claws and stand at a menacing 8 to 9 feet tall. In the Eberron section of the 3rd edition stat block, it states that some Boneclaws could be created by necromancers working for the Sora Kell sisters, who learn to transform ogre magi skeletons into Boneclaws. In the Faerun lore of the page, it says that the rumours persist that Saz-Tam, the Zulkir of the necromancers in Thay, created the first Boneclaws to protect Thayan enclaves. However, Boneclaws have been encountered in the service of various liches and necromancers across Faerun. Some necromancers speak of a night hag who visits them in their dark dreams, trading the secrets of Boneclaw creation for some gifts to be named later. I absolutely love this idea because this could be so easily used in games, and I don't know why, but I love any story hook that involves hags. I find hags just super interesting. Moving on to 4th edition, we get the Boneclaw in the 4th edition monster manual, where I am absolutely living for the artwork in this book. I love it. In this book, it states that Boneclaws are magically constructed undead built to hunt and slay the living. Liches, death priests of Orcus, Shadar-Kai necromancers, and other vile individuals use them as guards and agents. Their skewer-like claws contract and extend from moment to moment, sometimes instantly reaching to a length of 10 feet before slowly contracting, like it said in 3rd edition. In the monster manual, we get a confirmation on how Boneclaws are created in 4th edition. When a player rolls a DC 30 plus religion check, they gain the info that a coven of hags led by a powerful night hag named Grigwartha created the first Boneclaw over a century ago. It says they invented a ritual that combines the flesh and bones from ogres along with the trapped souls of an Oni. Although the materials can vary, the ritual is the same among those who know it. Grigwartha trades her knowledge of the Boneclaw creation ritual for favors she can later call upon. As such, she has a vast network of individuals and creatures that owe her debt for the ritual. I know I said it before, but I'll say it again. I love that story beat so much for the Boneclaws. I just find it so interesting. The Boneclaw then appears in the 2009 Open Grave Secret of the Undead as an encounter in a chamber for the Ennis Venus dungeon crawl. I'm probably butchering that name. We also get a variant ability that can replace the necromantic pulse ability they have. This ability is called Bone Spray, where it lets out a bonus spray on a target that deals 2d6 plus 4 necrotic damage. They then appear in the 2009 Dragon Magazine number 163, as well as Revenge of the Giants and Assault on Nightworm Fortress. We also get a Boneclaw dagger hand in the 2010 4th edition Tome of Horrors book, where it is a stronger variant of the Boneclaw with more HP and a little more resilience. We get another variant called the Boneclaw Guardian, which out of all the variants we have seen, it is the weakest of the bunch, which I find surprising since it's a Guardian. To me, you hear the name Guardian and I would expect a little more of a hearty version of the original. And finally, we get the Boneclaw Impaler from the 2008 4th edition Demon Queen's Enclave, where they get two new abilities called Blood Frenzy, where when attacking with this Boneclaw Impaler, it receives 1 extra attack dice for each wound marker on the defender. It receives 1 extra attack die for each wound marker on the defending figure's army card, to a maximum of 3 additional attack dice for Blood Frenzy. And it gets an ability called Terrifying Monster, where when a small or medium adjacent figure attacks this Boneclaw Impaler, they will roll 1 less attack dice unless they have a fearless personality. Moving on to 5th edition, we get only 1 installment of Boneclaws, and that is in the 2008 book Boden Kaiman's Tome of Foes. In this book, we get some info on the undead creature. It says that when a wizard attempts attaching their soul to a phylactery, but is weak either physically or magically, or maybe both, their soul instead will bind itself to an especially hate-filled humanoid within a few miles of the ritual. Once it is bound with its new master, while the master is alive, the Boneclaw is immortal. If the Boneclaw is slain, even if the body is completely destroyed, it will reform within a few hours and continue whatever task its master asked it to do. Okay, so we're going over the Boneclaws through the editions of D&D. Now let's go over the 5e stat block of the creature and how you can use them in your D&D campaigns or one-shots. Starting with the AC, this creature has an AC of 16 and 127 hit points. They have a speed of 40 feet, which is pretty speedy. That extra 10 feet from a normal creature speed can make a lot of difference. They have a resistance to cold, necrotic, bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing from non-magical attacks, as well as an immunity to being charmed, exhausted, frightened, paralyzed, or poisoned. They have dark vision of 60 feet with a passive perception of 16 and have a challenge rating of 12, similar to that of an Archmage or an Erinyes. They have two traits. One is called Rejuvenation, where while its master lives, a destroyed Boneclaw gains a new body within 1d10 hours. With all of its hit points, the new body appears within 1 mile of the Boneclaw's master. And the other ability is Shadow Stealth, where while in dim light or darkness, the Boneclaw can take the hide action as a bonus action. And for its actions, it gets a multi-attack where it can make 2 claw attacks, and it has a piercing claw attack that has a +8 to hit and a reach of 15 feet and deals 3d10 plus 4 piercing damage. If the target is a creature, the Boneclaw can pull the target up to 10 feet towards it, and the target is grappled with a DC of 14 to escape. The Boneclaw has 2 claws. While a claw grapples the target, the claw can attack only that target. It also gets a shadow jump action where if the Boneclaw is in dim light or darkness, each creature of the Boneclaw's choice within 5 feet of it must make a DC 14 Constitution saving throw or take 5d12 plus 2 necrotic damage. The Boneclaw then magically teleports up to 60 feet to an unoccupied space it can see. It can bring one creature it is grappling, teleporting that creature to an unoccupied space it can see within 5 feet of its destination. The destination spaces of this teleportation must be in dim light or darkness. And finally we get a reaction called Deadly Reach, where in response to a visible enemy moving into its reach, the Boneclaw makes 1 claw attack against the enemy. If the attack hits, the Boneclaw can make a second attack against the enemy. That's interesting. That's a reaction for someone moving into their reach instead of moving out. So that's really interesting. That one could really throw your players off. These undead nightmares are some really interesting monsters to throw against your players in your D&D games. You could have a party hunting down a necromancer that has been tormenting a town or city, and in their tower they have Boneclaws defending them. Or maybe the party could have taken a job to investigate the tower of a well-known wizard that used to be a very prominent figure in the town, but they have suddenly disappeared, and when the party goes to investigate their tower, they discover that the wizard had a dark side and attempted lichdom but failed and became a Boneclaw. But that is all I have for you guys today on the Boneclaw monster. Thank you all for watching. I hope you all found this video helpful, and if there's anything else that I've missed, I would love to hear about it in the comments below. What monster should I cover next? Let me know in the comments below and I will add that comment to the end of that video. Thank you for watching, and I will see you all next time.